presented by Scott Credit Union. Yours.
Blue Note Fan Report coming to you on a Friday. It's time to talk story, which means in Hawaii we bullshit. That's right. Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and this is the program that is by a fan, for the fans, and about you, the fans. And if you don't like me, you can F off. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Lance, man, how are you doing?
Not too bad. I see you're in a chippy, cheery mood as always.
Hey, it's Story Friday, my friend. Story Friday. What the hell? Why not? You deal with life as it comes at you. You take your lefts, you take your rights, you take your uppercuts, and you take your jabs. And if you're lucky, you're standing on your feet.
That kind of sounds like the Facts of Life song. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and then you've had the facts of life. Except I think you are using a different F word.
Yeah, totally different F word. Right? I'm in an F-bomb mood, so who knows? Maybe Marco Scandella gets brought out tonight.
Hey, I got to start out something. I'm going to tell you. You and I talked about a little bit the other day. All these people talking about how great Kadri is, and you and I have discussed it. I'm not going to go fully into that again. But everybody, when it first happened, they were looking at cap friendly. He goes, well, Calgary's smart. They didn't give him a no movement clause or a modified no trade clause. I said, yeah, they did. It just hasn't showed up. Well, it finally showed up, and they've given him a no movement clause and then a modified for the last 3 years. So if he's a bomb, wow, they're going to be stuck with him.
Oh, wow. $7 million for that shit.
Yep.
I don't get it. I don't see Kadri has that guy. I mean, you look at what he did. First of all, so I look at, I bring up last year's numbers consistently, Tarasenko being a point per player game, the Blues having all these point per player, what would they have? 3 of them, right? 3 point per player games. We had, I was looking at the numbers today, 9 guys that had 100 points or more. I mean, scoring overall was up last year. Right. And to see that, you wonder if it's going to continue this year. And I feel like it won't. I don't feel like you're going to have, you've got guys that are capable of scoring 100 points, but goaltending kind of does this. Right. I mean, 1 year goaltending is just dead on, absolute amazing. And the next year it's so-so, right? The quality of the guys that scored the goals last year didn't increase, right? I mean, it was the same guys. The same guys. If I go to, let's see if I can figure out my.
One of the guys that did it was Kachuk, and he had never had a 100-point season before that.
Yeah. Well, not just 100 points. Listen, see, to me, I get points, but points don't mean shit to me. You know what matters to me? There's only one thing that matters to me, because it's what goes on the scoreboard. Points don't go on the scoreboard. Okay? Goals do. And that's what matters. That's the number that matters. And when you look at goals, I mean, 40 goal scorers, and that's like that's considered a benchmark, right? 40 goals. Did I lose you, Lance?
No, if you're a 40 goal perennial, 35, 45 goal scorer in today's game, you are one of the top goal scorers in the league.
Right? Yeah. Well, but what I'm saying is 40 goals is like a benchmark.
It's a huge benchmark, yes.
Right? And you look at last year, there were 17 40 goal scorers. 17. I can't remember the last time you had that many 40 goal scorers.
I can. It was in the mid to late 80s and the early 90s. But past that, I don't remember that many guys reaching that plateau in one season. You probably had 7 to 10 guys, but I don't, and I might be wrong and you might be wrong too.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember the league having close to 20, 40 plus goal scorers in one season.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the numbers. Matthews, 60. Drysdale, 55. Kreider, 52. Ovechkin, 50. Kaprizov, yeah, 47. Connor, 47. McDavid, 44. Duchesne, 43. Stamkos, 42. Tkachuk, 42. Forsberg, 42. Lindholm, 42. Who would have thought Elias Lindholm was a 40-goal scorer?
I mean,
right? I mean, Robinson, 40 goals, 41. DeBrincat, 41. These are rookie. These are basically rookies, first and second year guys. These aren't guys that score 40 goals. Gaudreau, 40 goals. Gunsel, 40. And then Pasternak, 40. Right? Barkov had 39, but he only played 67 games. Tage Thompson had 38 and played 78 games. Right? I mean, to me, I don't think that those numbers are going to continue. Right? I think that next year, maybe some of the points are up there, but the goals, I don't think the goals are going to be there.
Yeah,
right?
I definitely, and I'll stick to it, that Kadri is not going to have any. He's not going to sniff anywhere 80 points this season. Do
you guys want Wendy to join us?
I don't care.
Right? Well, Wendy's a good friend. I think I've only told Wendy no once. And I think because I had somebody else on the show that day or something like that, or it was late. One of those things, right? I like I like Nick. Nick's a good guy.
Well, if you go back to the history of the NHL, you'll have a year or two that has some pretty abnormal, some abnormal stats, and then it levels off. Like people will think, well, there's so much more goals per game. Well, if you go look at it over the last 20 years, total goals between the two teams will go anywhere from 5 to 5.8 down to 5.4, 5.6. Yeah. It's not something that goes up from 4.5 to 7. It just doesn't happen. And they normally stay about the same. And when you see a season like this, there's normally some adjustments that are made in the next season or the following season after that to where these guys are still good, but that 45 goal scorer is now a 28 goal scorer or a 30 goal scorer.
Yeah. No, I do see that. And I don't see, look, Bob Morton, you know Bob Morton, right? He's been calling me pretty regularly now. We've been talking about things, and he brought up when talking about something else about how I never look at the surface of things, right? How I always try and look underneath and what's going on underneath in that. And one of the things that I look at last year was the amount of players that had COVID, right? And I think COVID would affect goalies and defensemen more, right? A goalie is on ice for 60 minutes. A defenseman on ice 20, 25 minutes, right? You're talking about guys that are, when you look at COVID is a respiratory disease. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, right? I'm not even, I'm afraid to put it. What is WCH, Nick?
Windy City Hockey.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like Western Conference, champion, trying to pull some shit like that on me.
You're definitely spot on with the goalies and the defense somewhat. The goalies, I would lose several pounds in a game because you don't drink a lot of water throughout the game. You let it run around in your mouth and you may drink a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, can you imagine just coming off of COVID, trying to get back into game shape, and your heart, you're just breathing heavily. And instead of losing 6 pounds in a game, you lose 12 pounds in a game, and you're already supposed to be staying more hydrated when you've got COVID. So it's difficult on a goalie. And like you said, defenseman, it's going to wear your legs out a lot quicker.
Yeah. Well, here's a good point. I guess maybe. Brian Green says I dig too deep into things sometimes, but I think that's your personality. It probably is my personality, but I don't think I dig too deep because I think too many people stay at the surface, and it's like a murder investigation. Here we go. Let's a prime example of this, and maybe you guys remember this. Pam Hop. You remember Pam Hop?
Sounds familiar.
She's the woman from St. Louis. They did the show something
They just
about
made
Pam.
that TV series on
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, right. You know, on the surface, the police immediately went to this lady's husband. Right? They went right to this lady's husband. They looked at the surface, and that's all they looked at. Well, when any investigator, a good investigator, would have dug so much deeper than the husband.
It's kind of like really similar when somebody says, "Well, that goalie played bad. He lost 2-1." Well, he lost 2-1, but there's more to the surface of that. If if they bombarded him with 35 shots and he gave in 2, and his other team only had 15 shots on goal and only 4 of them were quality chances, is he to blame for the loss, or is it basically the whole team or the rest of the team? You've got to look deep down into things, because a player on if you look at his stats, that tells you a little bit about him. If you watch him play and see how he does in different situations, that tells you even more about him. You can't. Hockey is one of those sports where you cannot look at the surface of things.
Yeah, and Jake Allen was a prime example of that, right? Jake Allen was not a bad goalie, but there was a circle of mistrust that just kept going and going and going. And once it's it's like the hamster wheel. You know, when a hamster first in it, hamster doesn't get in and start running, right? He walks. Mm-hmm. He walks. And the more he walks, he starts realizing that he's, he speeds up as he goes along, right? That circle. Guy, no way we get even 10, 20 goal scorers. Well, we didn't get 10, 20 goal scorers last season. We only had 9. But I can see 7.
Rare. That's rare.
The last time we had 10, 20 goal scorers was 1980-81. Right? The team with Mike Zook and Wayne Babbage. Which he had Zook, he had Babbage.
Perry Turnbull. Wasn't Perry Turnbull still on the Blues then?
Who?
Perry Turnbull.
Maybe, yeah. I think Turnbull was. You had Brian Suter. You had Bernie Federko. I think Bob Hess was on that team.
I think so.
Right? I mean, you had those guys, and that was a special team. And then they had Mike Zook as goalie. They had Ed Stanowski as a goalie. I mean, they had something special up and down the line.
You mean right? You said Mike Zook as goalie. I think you meant Mike Liut.
Yeah, Mike Liut. Yeah, it meant Liut. So Zucker just kind of like, Zucker's my buddy and my pal, right? But I think that we can have 7 20-goal scorers, right? I think Costin or Brown, and I know you don't like Brown. I know you have this, feeling of his lazy work ethic, and yes, I've heard that from others. But
no, I'm not saying he's lazy. I just don't think the kid is just a step short of having enough skill to stay in the NHL, in my mind. And people said that that the Hurricanes gave up on him. Was it Hurricanes?
No, it was Ottawa.
Carolina. It was Ottawa. Yeah,
Ottawa.
They were saying that the Ottawa gave up on him too early. Well, every time they put him in a game, he might play okay for a game, but then put him in 2 more games, and he just doesn't look like he belongs there. That's the one thing that I see with Brown. Could he change? Yeah, but I'm hoping he does because they need him to be better than he was last year.
Oh, absolutely, right? And not only that, I think Akari can be better than Bozak was, right? I think Akari is better than Bozak was. And not only that, when you think about this, so I still look at the Perron thing as a positive, not a negative. And I'm probably the only one in the world that does. I bet you even Wendy thinks that Perron going to Detroit, the Blues signing Leddy over Perron was a mistake.
No.
No, you think that was the right move?
It was probably a smarter move.
See, that's what I think, because when you had 9 20-goal scorers and you take one away.
When did St. Louis get Nola Chari?
At the free agency day.
Free agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. They picked him up free agency day.
Okay.
That's one of them things where if Bozak was still, you remember when the Blues got Krug and Robert Thomas put the stepbrothers thing, did we just become best friends? Right. If Bozak had us re-signed, I think Bozak would have done the same thing with Akari. Did we just become, Akari could have done that. Did we just become best friends? because Akari was the guy that tripped over Bozak's stick in game 5 of the finals. Right?
Akari's a
And
good
that led.
player. He's not really much of a player, though. He was in the AHL at points this year.
Who was? Akari?
Nola Chari, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're wanting him to be the fourth line center. You know, they're not expecting a ton of goals out of him, but they want him to be a Bozak type of player, and I think he's fine for that. They're only paying him around $1 million a year, so.
Yeah, no, they're just paying him right at the league minimum, I think.
He has had one really insane season, and that was the 1920 season with the Florida Panthers, where in 66 games played, he had 20 goals, and that was his career high. But he averages 4 goals a season.
4 or 5,
What's his points, though? What's his...
It's not a lot.
He only has 77 points in the NHL.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, well, I take that back. Bozak was not, he's not probably an upgrade over Bozak.
Achari's been in the league since 2016, but...
Wow, so he's younger than Bozak.
Yeah, he's much younger. He's 30.
Yeah. Hey, Shackled, how you doing, my friend? Oh, man. Let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about what happened 2 days ago. Team USA shit the brick, buddy.
It was the fact that they couldn't beat the freaking Czech goalie. The Czech goalie was red hot that night.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the biggest thing that hurt them, and this is on the World Junior, this is on the IIHA Tough. 4 games in one day. By the time they got to that ice was shit. I mean, them guys were falling down, and not only that, Chechnya was taking advantage of. They were pulling guys down, and it wasn't getting called.
The thing is, this U.S. team was not built as well as past U.S. teams. I honestly said, this team, probably is a favorite to win gold, as they usually are, but it would not surprise me if they don't even make the medal round. What happened? They got eliminated by Czech Republic, and were pretty much awful. And also in the World Juniors, this is how the tournament rolls. You play every night pretty much.
Yeah, well, I get it, but, you know, they took the day off yesterday between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Well, if you're going to do that, then why not, instead of playing 4 games in one day, play 2 games one day and 2 games the next, so the ice has a chance to heal. The ice didn't have a chance to heal. By the time Team USA, and they brought it up on the broadcast, that bad ice favors the less skilled team. Right? Mm-hmm. And that ice was that bad. And then again, and I don't want to blame officials, but God, I don't want to blame officials, but damn, I kept seeing, you know, guys skating with the puck and Chechnya just yanking them down to make them fall on the ice, and it was never called.
Here's what you got to do as a coach too. If you've got a fast team, all right, full of young players that are fast, you've got to adjust the game. You've got to put it in there to where those guys know, okay, this ice is bad. We're not going to be able to do what we did before. We need to change our game plan, and we need to do this. So those kind of things, those scenarios should always go through a coach's mind. And it didn't look like to me, and I forget the coach's name. I don't know why I always do, but it just seemed like he didn't change the way he was playing. If you see them pulling and clutching and grabbing, change something up a little bit. You know, you've got to make the changes. And, you know, I think, like he said, that the goaltender was very, very good. You know, there were some times that they could have probably put it on some different spots, you know, to try to get some goals, and a few of them are right onto him. But you've got to change your game when that ice is like that. And, you know, I fully agree with you. When you've got 4 games on the same ice surface, 2 to 3 games is pushing it. 4 games, you're really pushing it.
How about holding, Ryan? Holding. You're not allowed to grab the guy's shirt, the guy's jersey. Not allowed to grab a stick, right? You're not allowed to pull somebody to the ice. Roughing, call it roughing. No, I can see that. I just think that Hughes playing hurt didn't help either. Yeah, Hughes shouldn't have been out there. Right? Hughes, I don't know how he got hurt. I think he got hurt during the game, but he should not have been out there. Well, I get it, but this is the NHL and the IIHF are different, right? And the IIHF, they talk about upholding. IIHF consistently talks about upholding the sport of hockey, right? That the International Federation has a higher standard than the NHL, and they say that. That's why they have the automatic icing and some of the other things that they have. Well, when it comes to officiating, their standard isn't any higher than the NHL's because it was the same crap, right? They called boardings that I didn't think were boardings, and then they didn't call boardings that absolutely were boardings.
Well, the boarding rule in international play versus NHL play is a completely different rule. So the way they were calling it through the international books. Those are actual boardings in international play that are not in NHL play.
Yeah, I saw cases where there was boarding that should have been called and wasn't called. Right. So no, and they did. I mean, when they called boarding, and they called it right away. They smartly called the 5 minute first. So look at it to see if it was a 5 minute and then drop it down if it wasn't. But just about every time they called the 5 minute, I think they upheld it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think they upheld it every time. And nothing we can do about it. Hey, first I want to say a big thank you to Sammy Helms, Jason Nichols, Charles Jenkins, my buddy from high school, Glenn Gray. Glenn, I keep seeing you putting your thumbs up, but you don't join the show. Join the show, my friend. John Hefner and my buddy and partner in crime, Travis Partington from and I can't think of the name of his podcast now. He does the military podcast, and it's sitting on the tip of my tongue. I was on it once. I'll have to remember the name of it. When it pops into my head, I'll throw it out there. But Travis, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I wanted to see. Yeah, the slew foot. I kind of caught that. I didn't see the whole play. I caught it later. I actually stopped watching it. I was doing the show during most of it, and then when it got to 3-1 and the way that they were playing, I just knew that they weren't going to do anything. Why does it seem like the NHL doesn't improve officiating? The drama, I think you said drama, and controversy surrounding the playoffs. Is that something the NHL feeds on for viewers and growth? America loves drama. I don't want to say that they do, but I don't think the NHL sees the officiating problem as much as the fans do, to be honest. Right? Because if the NHL thought that there was as much of a problem with officiating as the fans do, they would do something to take care of it. And they don't. They really don't.
The last time they really did something about officials was probably after the 2012 playoffs. The 2012 playoffs were arguably the worst officiated playoffs in NHL history, and how horrendous it was handled.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one wasn't much better. This year's wasn't much better.
Actually, the 2012 one was still worse. Like, there was I could find the screenshot of it.
Well, like this one, like the way that they called this, the delayed offsides. To me, that wasn't a delayed offsides. Okay, because the player had possession of the puck when he entered the zone. He didn't touch it, but I've heard so many times that you don't have to touch the puck to be in possession of the puck. That was my issue with that play, that one where they said, "Oh no, this was a delayed offside, so since he didn't touch the puck, it wasn't offsides." And he touched up and then it was fine. I'm sorry, and I forget who the player was, when he entered the zone, he had control of the puck, right? And then you have the too many men on ice where Kadri turns around and scores that goal. My God, that should have been looked at from the beginning. When Kadri has that puck, everybody from the Avalanche are on this side of the ice. And my wrist is hurting me. Sorry, guys. On this side of the ice, and McKinnon's standing at the the gate, not even trying to get off the ice.
And he wasn't just standing. He went over there so slow. He was 2 or 3 feet away from it when Kadri started to enter the zone. So it should have automatically.
No, actually, when Kadri entered the zone, it wasn't McKinnon. So this isn't, believe it or not, and I can't believe it, this is not Kadri's fault.
No,
Okay? Kadri, there's a player that looks like he's coming to the boards, and I don't remember who his name is. And Kadri sees that and leaps off for the line change. Problem is that player, and it wasn't McKinnon, doesn't come off the ice. Right? Does not come off the ice. What are you showing me, Nick?
This photo, look at the ref.
Yep.
That ref was claiming he was not even he didn't even see the hit. It was right up front of the idiot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was the 2012 playoffs. Rafi Torres nearly murdered Marian Hossa on the ice. The next day, these same officials were officiating the Rangers-Philly game, and it was arguably one of the worst officiated games in NHL history. And after that, these guys were fired from their jobs.
Yeah. wait a minute. You got to read this comment. My mind sent error codes to my brain when you said it's not Kadri's fault. In all actuality, it wasn't, because there was a player coming in that was supposed to get off the ice that didn't. It was his fault. But, Sweden is pissed. Swedes are pissed. The Swedes just lost, so it looks like it's going to be Finland and Canada. Canada destroyed Czechia today. Last I looked, it was 4-0. I didn't see the final.
It was a 5-2 game.
5-2, yeah. Is what it is. But no, it was, and then, so there were other issues. And I still go back to the Bennington hit, right? The Bennington hit, that was, God, I cannot remember the Blues defenseman. It was a young kid that everyone blamed on.
Rosen,
right?
Yep.
It was Rosen's fault. Well, Rosen was in front of Kadri. And if you watch that play, because Nick, I remember you sending it to me, you see Rosen skates at a 45-degree angle, a hockey stop. You see ice flying from his skates. He's trying to stop. You never see that from Kadri's skates. You never see that. Yes, I know Kadri was trying to play the puck. He was. But once he doesn't get to play the puck, he never tries to stop. Rosen makes a great play, gets a stick there, and lifts Kadri's stick. And then Kadri falls. He's moving straight. Rosen is going to his right. Kadri falls to his left. His hips, you watch that video, and I remember bringing this up, his hips shift towards Bennington. That should have absolutely been goaltender interference. And the other part of this, and this is the thing that everybody doesn't look at, right? Everybody doesn't look at this. Prior to the game, both benches were warned about crashing the net. The same warning that was issued in game 2, the second period, between the first and second period, that caused a goaltender interference penalty, was issued at the beginning of game 3, game 4, game 5, and game 6. They issued it at the beginning of each game. If that issue was there, if it was issued, then that absolutely should have been the 5-minute major for intent to injure.
Here's one of the problems the NHL does. Before each season, they meet with the referees and linesmen, and they say, okay, we saw this last year. You need to focus on calling more of these penalties.
Yep.
Okay, that is the dumb way to do it. Why can't they go each year and say, okay, this is what we saw. This is everything you need to improve on. Don't tell them they need to call more penalties.
Well, here's the thing,
Watch those areas, because when you tell a ref, I want you to call more tripping, every time somebody gets tripped, it's going to come to his mind. I'm supposed to call more tripping. I'm supposed to call more tripping. Was that?
Well, here's the thing. They were going
that they
cross-checking.
Go ahead.
Beginning of this season, the NHL sent a video out saying cross-checking and sent out absolute things. Problem is the amount of cross-checking penalties went down.
It went up.
Oh, I think it went down.
Nope, it went up. The cross-check
go up
penalty
much.
was the most called penalty all season.
Tripping
last
was.
year.
They were calling
Tripping was.
They were calling cross checks on people that would just touch a guy with a stick
Yeah.
on the back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was the most called penalty, and there were times the cross-check was
No, according to, and I listened to Baron Pang say this a lot, and I know you don't like Pang, and Chris Kerber, tripping was the most called penalty. Is there a way we can look up last year's penalty? What was the most called penalty?
I don't think there is, but
Right?
it seemed like statistically each game I watched, there was probably 2 cross-check penalties in each of the games, and you never saw that before.
Hold on a second. There might be a way for me to bring this up. I'm bringing up the NHL's media site because some of their stats are a little bit more. They get deeper into things. Let's see. I'm trying to look at it, so give me a second. Goals, OT, comeback wins, penalty shots, franchise all time, coach's career, goalie career, skater career, team stats, plus minus. Look down here, penalties. Okay, it doesn't break it. It doesn't break it down by it's just minor, major, misconduct, game misconduct, match, bench, and total. So it doesn't break it down individually.
But yeah, it was the cross-check that seemed like it was the most called penalty all.
I remember him saying this, that the most called penalty last year was tripping. That was the most called penalty was tripping last year. So I don't know. There might be a way to look it up. I just don't know how. I don't know how. There's got to be a way to look at. I mean, there's got to be a way to break down that stat to.
Maybe it was the most called penalty for the Blues, but
It was the most called penalty in the league. I'm like dead certain on that. That tripping was the most called penalty. Right? Let me try one more thing. Let's see. Let's do Google. Let's see if the Google works. NHLPEN. I can't spell for shit, so. Okay, let's see if this is going to come up.
While you're doing that, I want to ask Nick something.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
A lot of people have been online, especially Predators fans, but just hockey fans, have been touting how Pekka Rinne should be a first ballot NHL goalie in the Hall of Fame because he's one of the best ever. And the reasoning is, and I saw at least 30, 40 people say this, well, he's got a banner up and his number's retired, so he should be. And I told him, I said, listen, guys, like if you're going to put him in the NHL or the Hall of Fame, you got to put in goalies like Mike Vernon. You got to put in goalies like Tom Barrasso. You got to put in goalies like that. Yeah, because in my mind, I mean, in your mind, is Pekka Rinne a Hall of Fame goalie?
Maybe
No.
third ballot.
I don't think he is at all, to be honest with you.
He is because, somebody was talking about how who was it? I can't remember.
There were years Pekka Rinne sucks.
Yeah, and there was people putting up his numbers against Chris Osgood's. And a lot of people were on the tweet were saying, well, Osgood doesn't belong. And the guy's like, well, if you don't want Osgood in, then how the hell does Pecorine get it? Because if you look at Osgood's number, and yeah, he was on a lot of good teams, his numbers blow away Pecorine's numbers big time.
Next year, the first ballot class will consist I did see it. The first ballot class that were eligible for Hall of Fame next year involves Corey Crawford, Hendrik Lundqvist, Brent Seabrook, Justin Williams, and one other player. I'm blanking on the other player. I think it was one of the Blues players, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm only seeing 2 of those people getting in, and that's the 2 goalies.
I could see Evo making it, but I could see.
I'm actually not on Crawford. I'm not on the Crawford bandwagon as much as I am on the Lundqvist bandwagon.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, Lundqvist has great stats. He's going to get in first ballot because of because of his illness. They're going to feel sorry for him and put him in on the first ballot. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, but that's going to be one thing that pushes it. Crawford, look at the cups he won. Look at the good years he had. And, I know people say cups don't matter. Well, to the Hall of Fame committee, they do. Because just as the Blackhawks wouldn't have won without Kane and Taves and Hossa those several years, they wouldn't have won without Corey Crawford either. So you can't take that away from him.
And without Corey Crawford in the 2013 playoffs, the Hawks don't win the Stanley Cup.
No, they don't.
In my opinion, Corey Crawford, to this day, still should have the Conn Smythe Trophy from 2013, not Patrick Kane.
I can see that. Yeah.
Patrick Kane had a great playoff. His playoffs really got going in the 3rd round of the playoffs against the LA Kings. Corey Crawford held the Hawks to letting in 1 goal at an average throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Detroit was hammering him with pucks, and he was keeping them out of the net. He was, in my opinion, snuffed when it came to Conn Smythe voters. The voters from the NHL still think Corey Crawford was just because he was playing behind Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Nicholas Jarmerson, and Johnny Oduya is a complete joke. 2013, Corey Crawford was the best player in that entire playoffs. Patrick Kane has even stated Crawford probably should have won the Conn Smythe. He should not have.
If I remember correctly, I think Detroit shot them out every game too.
What?
I think Detroit outshot Chicago in every game in that series.
They did. And that was the first time the Hawks all season that year faced any form of adversity.
Yeah, they put a lot of shots on Crawford in that play.
Justin Williams is on that list, and Jay Bouwmeester's on that list.
I don't think Bouwmeester.
Right?
I don't think he gets in the first time. I think eventually he will. And it's because he was the Iron Man for such a long time.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
Right.
I could see Seabrook because he has the 3 cups. He, for the longest time, did lead the NHL in all-time for shot blocks. I could see Seabrook making it, but realistically, I think we see 2 goaltenders next year in Corey Crawford and Hendrik Lundqvist, and then on a second ballot Hall of Famer would be Henrik Zetterberg.
Yeah,
I don't know how Zetterberg did not make the Hall of Fame this year. In my opinion, Roberto Luongo is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Nope, he is not.
No. I didn't think Longo was a Hall of Famer to begin with.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that.
If you put Luongo in and then you tell me Curtis Joseph
doesn't belong in,
there's something wrong there, because was Luongo good? Yes. Were there several years where he was one of the top 3-4 goalies in the league? Yes, there were several years like that. But his overall production kind of gets.
But so was Joseph. Joseph was a Vezina finalist, 5 times? A top 3 finalist?
That's what I'm trying to say. So if you put Luongo in, how can you not have Curtis Joseph in there? It's just, and I don't think these writers think that. These writers don't look at it and go, okay, this guy, they're wanting him in. He's in the class this year. Should I vote for him? Let me think. Who is not in that's better that's not been voted for? That's the way I would think.
Here's a player that still snuffed from the Hall of Fame, which is a ridiculous statement. Steve Larmer.
Yeah, I think that's a little off, and I also think Alexander Mogilny should be in.
Yeah, Mogilny should be a Hall of Famer.
Those two guys should be in there. I don't know why they're not.
Hell, even Jeremy Roenick has the points to even be.
Yeah, he's got the points. He definitely has the points. I think eventually he'll get in. And
the thing with Roenick, apparently the reason why he has not been voted into the Hall of Fame was the fact he pissed off too many reporters.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's who votes the players into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would say that Jeremy Roenick in his interviews was pretty honest, and a lot of the times he wasn't nice to these media guys because they asked some very stupid questions. And I know if I was in the same shoes as him, I wouldn't be nice to all of them because I
the same way with Phil Kessel. He's hated by the media, loved by the fans because Phil Kessel does not give a crap on what he says to the media.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a list of players that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not, in my opinion. It's ridiculous.
And what I think a lot of these Hall of Fames are getting to, including like the NFL Hall of Fame, they feel like they've got to put in 8 guys every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do that. Well, when you start doing that, there's guys that really deserve it. And then there's guys that, yeah, they had very good careers, but do they deserve it? I don't want the Hall of Fames becoming Hall of Goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be that were the elite, the top players of their generation, and the top players of that generation being compared against past generations. And where does that all meet? If it doesn't meet up, then they shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. But here's something that I want to throw out. I think that you need to back off a little bit on what you think a Hall of Fame player is, because there's guys that may not have had Hall of Fame careers, but what they did in hockey makes them Hall of Famers. And I can think of one right now.
There's
off the top.
Very few of those guys. Very few.
No, there's not. There's actually a lot more than you.
I'll
name a name right now.
A guy that's an ambassador for the game that ends up with 800 games or 700 games, let's say, a long career, and at 150 points, but he was an ambassador for the game. I'm sorry, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. There needs to be something else. There needs to be a part of it that's NHL.
There's a builder section. There's a builder section.
Well,
there's a builder section absolutely for
this. Then he gets nominated as a Hall of Fame builder.
Tell me that Bobby Plager doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Bobby Plager belongs in the builder. It should be called the Builder Hall of Fame, and it should be separate because
it's part of the Hockey Hall of Fame. What he did for hockey in St. Louis, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There would not be hockey in St. Louis if it was not for Bobby Plager.
He did that for hockey in St. Louis. The only guy that should go in as part of the real. I'm not saying that builders shouldn't go in. If you've got a guy that played for 7 teams and was instrumental in those 7 teams, but doesn't have the numbers, and he helped build the game up and was an ambassador for the game, put him in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But what there should be is I'm not saying that Plager doesn't belong. That's not what I'm saying. Put in a separate voting category. Here's the Hall of Fame guys, and here's the builder potential Hall of Fame guys.
They do have that. They do have that. They have the builder. They put one builder in every year. They put one builder in every year. They put 5 players, 1 builder, and 1 like post-expansion era player.
That's like saying back there, I have that Keith Magnuson jersey, like saying he should be in the Hall of Fame. I kind of think he could be a builder, but not through the aspect of player hall, because his career, he had the numbers as a defenseman, but no one views him as one of the top defensemen of all time.
Good. Pierre, I don't get this either. Pierre Turgeon was consistently one of the top 5 centers in the league for almost his whole career. And he put up a lot of points, was a great skater, a great passer. Why he's not in the NHL, the only thing I can think is sometimes he rubbed media wrong too. And maybe that's it. I don't know.
I don't think the media, I don't think overall the media votes for.
Yeah, they do.
Be honest?
They do. That's who votes.
Selection committee.
Because
It's
I
the
remember
writers.
Current members of the selection committee.
I remember Elliot Friedman having a vote.
Oh, here's the members of the selection committee. I'm
Mark
looking at it
Lazarus
right
had
here.
the vote.
Guy,
Mike Gartner,
okay.
David Branch, Brian Burke, Cassie Campbell Pascal, Mark Chipman, Bob Clark, Mark DeFoy, Michael Faber, Ron Francis, Cami Graninato, Anders Hilberg, Yari Curry, Igor Larnaroff,
Yes.
Pierre McGuire, Bob McKenzie, Mike Murphy, David Poley, Luke Robitaille. That sounds like a lot more players than media to me.
Oh, guy, those players put out a list of people that are eligible for the Hall of Fame.
They're
the
the
writers
people who select.
those guys don't have the final vote. The writers have the final
The
vote.
writers do have the final vote. Mark Lazarus of The Athletic, Charlie Remoliotis from NBC Sports Chicago, they got to vote for the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah. And I think Elliot Friedman has had it a couple years.
And Friedman does vote, I think. There's the writers get the vote to look at they get a list from the panel that creates the list. Who would you vote for the Hall of Fame? And that's where the writers come involved to vote them in. And I think one player can. I think there's an exception on it if Laney McDonald doesn't make it where the player does get put in automatically because he's the chairman of the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the selection committee. To me, selection committee it's just like, well, the NFL selection committee. The only one that I know directly that the media itself puts the members in is baseball. Right? Now, I do know in pro football that each team has one media member that's part of that in that room for that process. But I don't think that the media directly, but I mean, it's not just media. There are also other executives and things like that in baseball. And I don't know about the NBA. I really don't. But I know in baseball, you have to be a member of the Pro Baseball Writers Association for 10 years before you're eligible to vote. Right? And then you get a ballot and you can pick up to 10 names on that. Right? And then there's certain writers, and then you if you don't vote a certain amount of years in a row, you're removed from the list. Right? Like there were reporters that, you know, this was to prevent guys that would just mail in an empty ballot. Right? Because that was considered a no vote.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The ballot was counted, but it was considered a no vote. So it was to prevent the empty ballots. You can vote from anywhere from 0 to 10 players, if I remember correctly. Right? I'm not 100% sure. I'll look into it a little more. Right? I don't want to do it now while we're talking, but I'll look into that a little more. We're getting closer and closer to the season. I want to know on a scale of 0 to 10, how excited are you, Mindy?
Well, we were going for Connor Bedard, so I'm excited for that, but season's going to be a complete crap show.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, Wendy's gonna go like a 0.
I will say I will honestly put an 8 because hockey's still my favorite sport. I'm still going to watch every Blackhawk game there is, but I know the Hawks are going to probably win 25 games minimum, maybe maximum this season.
Yeah, I go to YouTube. There's an interview that they did with Mr. Wirtz of the Blackhawks, the CEO. I think you're going to find it funny. I just try to find it.
Grant?
It's Grant.
Yep, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I kind of found it funny.
Right? Is this the one from the town hall?
I don't know if they considered it a town. No, because he was in the arena when they were interviewing him. You could see the arena behind him. I don't think it's the town hall.
That's not the town hall. What interviewer? When was this?
It was on YouTube, and since I do hockey stuff, it shows up. Every time I turn on YouTube, it shows up 2 to 3 times a day, far of your left screen, left of
You
your
know what,
screen.
Lance? Share it. Share it. If
Time I
you've got
find
it, share it, and then I can pop it up and we can listen to it.
I find it.
Well,
I'll,
once
I'll
I
share
pop it up, you have to play it, but I have to. You know where the share button is, right, bud?
Here it is.
Okay. You know how to share it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It says that he's a 4th generation leader of the Wirtz family.
Yeah, he is.
I know, but this leader.
Is it Rocky or is it Danny?
It's Danny.
Yeah, Danny's more running this team than Rocky is.
Yep.
After that town hall meeting, Danny has taken over pretty much.
I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you guys so you can.
No, you need to. Let's see if I can bring it up.
Letting me add anything.
No,
I
got it.
Here, you got it.
Yeah, I got it. Hang on, I can share it.
All right. So okay, this isn't the town hall where Rocky went.
Oh,
off.
I saw this.
Is it old?
No, this is like a couple weeks old.
Yeah, I just thought his attitude, and I appreciate the fact he's excited, but I just found it funny that his team's in the tank to get the 1st round draft pick, and he's all, this season's, and I just found it kind of funny.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, the one good thing is, and I didn't like it when the Blues didn't make the playoffs after 2005-06 season, and they didn't for a couple years. But the one thing I loved about it, Nick, was the fact that I could get tickets dirt cheap.
Yeah. I'm going to go to as many Hawks games as possible this year in Chicago.
Right.
Because if they get good again in 3 to 4 more years, it's going to be harder than hell to get a seat in that town.
That jersey back there, the Marian Hossa, I'm going to that Marian Hossa banner raising ceremony this year because he's my favorite all-time hockey player, and seeing his number getting hung by the Blackhawks is awesome. And I guarantee you I could get tickets for cheap.
Probably, yeah.
No, I bet you for that it's for a banner raising they'll go up.
There's still going to be some people who don't realize, hey, this is what this game is.
Yeah, and
that's how I went to the Pat Foley game for a good price. The Pat Foley game, that was announced at the beginning of the season, and I was sitting in lower bowl down by the glass, kind of.
Yeah, and you got to look at it too. After they won all those cups, there were people that started buying season tickets in, and they're still buying season tickets. And a lot of people don't think back to Marian Hossa. Oh yeah, I remember Hossa. So I don't think you'll have a hard time finding a ticket. I don't think they'll be as cheap as other games, but I think you still should be able to find a ticket.
No, Robert. Hossa does not hold that record.
No, he doesn't.
Because Gretzky's lost more cups than Hossa.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Gretzky's only lost 1 cup game.
No.
Or 1 cup. He's only been to the cup finals once that he didn't win, right? Or twice.
Nope. 2 to 3 times.
3 times.
3 times?
Yep.
Hossa lost twice. His record, he was the first player in NHL history to make it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals with 3 different teams, losing the first 2 and winning the third one.
Who did he win the third one with? Colorado?
The Hawks.
Oh, the Hawks. Okay.
This is how Hossa went. He played in Pittsburgh in 2008, lost to Detroit. Went as a free agent to Detroit, lost the cup in 2009 to Pittsburgh. Then signed as a free agent to the Hawks and won the cup in 2010. Now a player who basically had that same role, that run going, was Corey Perry this year. Yeah. He was on Dallas, Montreal, and now Tampa.
Yeah.
So he needs to be on a 4th team and make it to the Cup final next year. But he's on Tampa next year.
Oh, wow.
So he can't do that record. Try to change.
Well, I don't know. He could still go with Tampa and lose for a 4th straight time.
Nope. It has to be with a different
team. Oh, maybe he gets traded at midseason.
I don't know. Perry, I don't think is getting moved.
Right. Real quick, I kind of mentioned this last. Do you see the Blues signing anybody to a PTO during training camp?
Me?
And both of you. Open question.
I don't know. That's
right. I mean, you look at the guys that are unsigned out there. I actually thought, I'll tell you what, I thought Kadri was going down that road that he was going to end up having to sign a PTO.
I said it the other night. that Kadri's going to sign a 7-year deal, and what did he do? He signed a 7-year
but it
deal.
wasn't where you thought it was. I mean, Calgary was an absolute shock.
Because Snorlax and Lou Lamoriello didn't do anything.
I don't think, I think that was I think there was a lot of smoke, but no fire to that.
Apparently, they had an offer in, and it was pretty similar to what the Flames gave them.
Yeah, the problem was though, the Flames basically made room for him by trading Monahan.
Yep.
Yeah. And the Islanders kept, pushing their feet, and I guess Kadri just couldn't put up with it enough because they wanted to sign him, but they had to move some people to be able to sign him. And Nick, this is one reason why I think this contract's bad. Not just because he's a 35 to 40 point guy, and every other season he's been on average. If you go through his whole career, first year of the 100-point guy, or 87 points, sorry, and he's got a no movement clause in the first 4 years, I think, and a modified no trade clause in the last 3. I mean, I know he wasn't going to sign unless he got that, but to me, that is a terrible contract for them to get.
Oh yeah, it's a bad contract, especially for someone, for a team that's going to be in a rebuild in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Granted,
the coach, he doesn't fit the coach's style whatsoever.
No, he fits Daryl Sutter's system pretty damn well.
But Sutter doesn't put up with the bullshit that Kadri does on the ice and off the ice.
Sutter was able to get Matthew Tkachuk out of his head out of his ass this past year.
I see those two clashing. I really do.
I don't think so. I think somehow Sutter with Kadri might actually make. I realistically think the Calgary Flames could win the Stanley Cup next year.
I don't think Kadri makes them that much better. I really don't. Because he's going to have to be the man, and I don't think he can be the man.
No, he's the second-line center. Is the second-line center on that team.
He's going there. He's going there with it in his mind that he's going to be the guy.
I don't think so. Because he knows they have Jonathan Huberdeau. They have Elias Lindholm. He knows he's not going to be on the number one line. He's going to be at the second line or something like that. I think he realizes this team's going to be good and competitive next season with having Daryl Sutter as head coach, with having a first line of Huberdeau, Lindholm, and Toffoli. He doesn't have to be the guy, and I think he's going to realize that. Just like he wasn't with the Avalanche. He knew he was not the guy on that team.
I just think that that's what he's going to want to do. It really is. I just got that feeling. I don't know. There's something in me that tells me that first of all, he's a me first player. And that's an obvious thing. He is a me first player. It is the name on the back of the jersey is way more important than the name on the front of the jersey. And he's been that way since he's been in the league. He had one good season, and you're going to drop all that money on him. He's already got a big head. This is just going to make it bigger, and I think they're going to have problems with it right from the beginning.
If he's 24 and I'm the Flames and he just had an 87-point breakout season, I give him that money or more. But since he's 31, 32, he's not going to get better. Players don't get better at 32.
I didn't say it was a good contract. I said it was a bad contract. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was just making my opinion wasn't based on anything you had said. I'm going to wait and see because I think there's a tendency where Sutter could really rub hard with him, and there's a tendency, like Nick said, where maybe they're both crazy enough to where it doesn't matter, and Kadri's going to have to do something really bad to really get in the doghouse. I mean, that's possible.
Want to know what player Kadri reminds me of from Daryl Sutter's LA Kings?
Who?
Drew Doughty.
Doughty. That's what I was thinking. I knew you were going to say that. I'm sitting there going, he's going to say Doughty. He's going to say Doughty. He's going to say Doughty.
When Sutter was with Doughty, you didn't hear much of the stupidity that Doughty does today or before Sutter came to LA. When he was with Doughty, he had Doughty as one of the best defensemen in the league. Yes, he's a defenseman. Kadri's a center. We all get it. But he was able to get Doughty's head on straight. And I think he could do the same thing with Kadri.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of similarities, even though, like you said, one's offensive and one's defensive, and people say, well, they can't be alike. I think that the game mentality, the way they approach it is very similar. Mm-hmm. They're going to go out and try to get away with as much as they can. And if they get caught, oh, well, they'll just keep trying it until they get caught again. And that's kind of the way Drew was in his years with Sutter there in the Kings. And yeah, I can kind of see that comparison.
Here's a player I'm kind of shocked the Flames didn't move out to try and bring in Kadri so they didn't have to lose Monahan, even though Monahan was terrible all year last year. I would have moved out Lucic to a team that's bad.
Yep. I would
have sent Lucic to like a team like Chicago, take on it. Or Arizona.
Doesn't Lucci have a no trade?
No, I don't think so anymore.
I think I might be wrong, but I didn't think that when he signed that $6.5 million deal that Edmonton gave him years ago.
I'm checking.
Because if somebody gave him that, they're idiots.
Well, that would have been Peter Chiarelli.
That explains it.
Yes, he does.
He does have a no move clause.
Not afraid, no trades, no move clause. 21, modified no trade submits a list of 8 teams he can be traded to. July 1, 2022 to 2023. Modified no trade clause submits a list of 10 teams he can be traded to. So yeah, he's got that modified no trade, no move clause.
Classic Peter Chiarelli.
Right?
And look who Peter Chiarelli's with now in the front office.
Yeah, thank you for still keeping him because he was a candidate in Chicago. I was really hoping he did not come to Chicago.
If the Blues ever fire Doug Armstrong, which someday he's going to lose his job, all GMs do, please do not put Ken Hitchcock or Peter Chiarelli in as either permanent GM or temporary GM. Please don't do that because within a year, your team will be a shambles and it'll take you 6 years to recover.
I don't think when I think Armstrong will retire or not renew a contract, I don't think he'll be fired. I think that cup in St. Louis meant enough that, I mean, he could really have a year where we're last place and he still wouldn't be fired.
I think what will happen if they want to move him, they'll say, Doug, we want to let you go. It's time to move on. It'll come out that they left on good terms and he decided it was time for a change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll be a non-contract renewal is what it'll be.
Can we all agree there's two GMs who probably should already be retired, but they have not yet?
I can agree with one. Who's the other one?
Ken Holland. Ken Holland and Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, when was the last time Lou was successful?
The Devils.
Well, they made it up prior to this year. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 straight years.
He technically didn't build that roster. That's the thing. For some odd reason, that was just the fact they had a hell of a head coach in Barry Trotz. He did not build the roster, nor did Barry Trotz. It was the fact they had a couple players already on that team just waiting for a change in that organization.
They built around him. Yeah.
And Lou just is Snorlax. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing half the time, bringing in these geriatric hockey players now. You had it with Chara last year. You had it with Palmieri 2 years ago. He brings in these old players like Parise. Parise probably shouldn't be in the NHL anymore. He's washed up and not good.
Do you know they've tried to get Suter too?
Oh yeah, I know. Lou Lamoriello needs to honestly be told, dude, you're already in the Hall of Fame. Just retire already. That's the same with Ken Holland in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
He destroyed the Detroit Red Wings by keeping all these players like a Zetterberg, like a Datsuk, like a DeKaiser, like a Cronwall. He had them on that team way too long, and the team's now starting to see a chance to be a playoff contender probably this year. Ken Holland hasn't done much with the Edmonton Oilers either. He may have brought in some players to help get them to develop better, like they brought in Duncan Keith to help develop Evan Bouchard last year. And Ken hasn't addressed issues that team still needs. He may have this year by getting in Jack Campbell, but Jack Campbell's not a top 10 goalie in the NHL.
Well, yeah, I mean, the goalie position right now, I want to say this is probably the weakest the NHL's been in goalie for a long time.
Think about it. All the star goaltenders of the 2010s are already retiring or retired.
Right.
Tuukka Rask, Hendrik Lundqvist, Corey Crawford. There's so many players to name that were star goaltenders of the 2010s. They're already out of the NHL.
One guy who I think, if he doesn't want to be a backup anymore, I'm sorry, I don't think Fleury still has it to play 50-plus games for the Wild. I don't see it.
Well, talk about goaltender situation. I hear that Leonard, I'm probably killing his name.
Leonard.
Yeah, he's mouthing off about something with no, am I wrong?
No, he's out for the season because the stupid Golden Knights last year would not let him get the surgery he needed.
Mm-hmm.
He's out with a hip injury. The Golden Knights last year treated him like shit.
Fans especially.
Their fans were horrible to him. Their front office was horrible to him. And the head coach at the time was the worst to him.
I'm seeing two things on Twitter and Facebook and on blogs. I'm seeing this. We should have kept Fleury. We probably would have won another cup. Or we should have kept Fleury even if we wouldn't have won any more. And I'm going, can you imagine how bad off they would be? I mean, they're bad when it comes to cap space now. Can you imagine how bad off they'd be then?
I don't know how they're going to field a team. Right now, they've only got 16 spots, 16 players on their roster, and they're still like $8 million over the cap.
They're still being picked by a lot of these prognosticators.
Oh, I know. It drives me up a wall.
I mean,
right?
They traded away Max Pacioretty for nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Because future considerations don't mean shit.
They mean crap.
Yeah. They have 17 of 23 contracts. They are at $88 million. They are $5.7 million over the cap. And I'm guessing that they're going to have to put guys, they're going to have to put, right now they still have Shea Weber on long-term on LTIR.
Yep.
Right? I don't know if he'll stay on it or not.
Yeah, he will. He's on LTIR for the remainder of his contract.
He's never playing again. Shea Weber.
Can he just announce retirement, please?
Yeah.
The reason why I want that to happen, it will royally screw over Nashville.
Yeah, it will.
Right?
If he
they have Robin Leonard. They have no goalie.
Nashville is screwed.
Big time. Yeah, big time.
They have no goalie on their roster right now.
I thought
Both
they did.
Lenar and Borsat
What
are
about
on.
Thompson? Thompson was a
Yeah,
goalie.
they have Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson's going to be there. Probably they're going to try to get. They're going to battle
Well,
between
right
Thompson.
now, Thompson is listed in. Logan Thompson's listed in their minor league.
Logan Thompson will
Yeah.
be their starting
Yep,
goalie this
be the
year.
starting goalie, most certainly.
Right?
They're
not.
Watching him and all the goalies last year, besides Leonard, he was definitely above the other ones. Big time.
Thompson kept the Golden Knights in the playoffs race up until the Hawks eliminated them that night. That was an awesome night.
I think even Blues fans enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Right? I know something that got brought up yesterday. Do you guys understand how waivers work?
Yeah.
When does a player lose his waivers? Is it after he's off his
You have to play a
entry-level contract?
Play a certain amount of games.
I believe, if I remember correctly, because I saw it with Kirby Doc this year, he was now eligible for waivers after him playing his 96th game in the NHL.
He was no longer waiver exempt?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of looking. So right now, the Blues are in a case where Brown, Walker, Barbashev, all these guys, if you're going to send them down, they got to go meet waivers unless it's an injury, right? Unless it's for a injury stint.
And with waivers, here's the thing. That's where teams who are like the Blackhawks take advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if St. Louis does throw Brown on waivers, the Hawks could easily claim him unless like Arizona claims him. Because at the beginning of the season for waivers, it starts with the worst record teams from the previous season. And during the season, when a player is placed on waivers, a team who has one of the worst records gets a first chance to pick up the player.
Yeah, basically what I'm looking at. I went through my old notes from 2018. It says that the waiver is basically based on a combination of when a player signs his first NHL contract, the number of games he played, and years in the league. And of course, waivers are different for skaters and goalies.
Yes.
Yep. But here's something I'm hearing, and I don't know if you guys are hearing this. I know a lot of people. I know two people that work for
Looks
the
like
Golden Knights.
3 seasons. For 3 seasons, they're exempt.
Yes. With and then a couple extra games.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's like 3. It's like 100 and it's like 260 games or 250 games, something like that. I think.
3 seasons with a couple extra games in.
So even then, so look, here's the thing. You look right now, you still have Clem Costin is on the minor league roster, right? He's not. He has. If he go, if the Blues send him back down again, he's got to clear waivers. There's a chance. Right now, if you look at the guys that could get sent down, there are guys that I think will not clear waivers. I don't think Costin clears waivers. I don't think Brown clears waivers. Who's the other one? Korpachenko won't do it. Right now, those are the two big. Walker. And Walker. Honestly, I don't think Walker clears waivers.
Koskinen and Brown are two players I would actually be interested to see if they go on waivers. I would, if I'm the Blackhawks GM and Kyle Davidson, I'm going to do everything to pick them up.
Right?
Because
I think the Blues are going to have some issues with some of these guys that they may put on waivers.
The thing with those two players, the Hawks can easily flip them at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
the Hawks have
absolutely.
The space,
Absolutely.
and they can easily take advantage of it. That's where the teams that are bad takes advantage of waivers. And I could see the Hawks do something like that.
A guy, Walker does have to clear waivers.
Yeah, I know. Walker's got to clear waivers. Yeah, Brown's got to clear waivers. Costin's got to clear waivers. Korpachenko doesn't. Korpachenko may now, but he's going to be going IR, so that opens the spot up. That kills me because I thought this was Korpachenko's year to break out.
waiver eligible.
Torchenko is going to be a better version of Sammy Blay. That's what he's going to be.
I think Torpachenko has the chance to be a Tarasenko.
No.
I think he's got that scoring touch. It just hasn't shown up yet.
You watched Tarasenko in his rookie year? How good he looked?
Yeah, I know he was much different, but I think there's still some. I think Torpachenko hasn't had the development chances that Tarasenko had.
I don't think he'll ever score more than 20 goals in the NHL.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. There's a player that's still a free agent. I'm kind of shocked that's still sitting out there. Calvin DeHaan.
Yeah.
What do you guys think's going on there?
I heard that somebody was getting ready to offer him a contract, so he was pushing other teams aside because, and I don't know which team. It's supposedly an East Coast team. They want him for more money than what the other people were going to give him, which is not going to be much money from what I'm hearing. But he's waiting to see if this other team can supposedly clear space because they don't have enough space. So if you look in the Eastern Conference, you should see what teams that should be. I've looked at them. I don't remember, but I'm shocked. And I was shocked that he hadn't signed somewhere, and I think he eventually will. I don't see him ending up going to a PTO situation. No. I just don't see that.
DeHaan's too good to be on a PTO.
Yeah. What about? I mean, Kessel. Kessel's still a good player.
Hell, I want Kessel in Chicago. He's not going to make us any better. Sure
isn't going to make it any worse.
I'm going to tell you, Phil Kessel sells seats.
He does. Yeah. Hey, I made this. Where is it? Hang on. Hawks reporter actually now uses that as his thumbnail.
Oh, hey, Nick, I was going to tell you, I saw an article from our famous hockey writers people that we have issues with sometimes. Not all the time, sometimes, saying that Chicago is looking into bringing in PK Subban. And
that's not true.
First time I saw that, I'm like, I hate it when people put 3 projected places. And I'm going, is that your projected places that you think they should go? Or is that projected places that player wants to go? I think Subban's going to have a hard time getting any decent amount of money from anybody.
He's going to a PTO, and if he signs, it'll be for $2 million at the most.
I don't see him more than $1 million and a half at this point in his career. And to me, he's a 3rd or 4th pairing defenseman at this point in his career. Probably 4th pairing.
There is no 4th pairing. It's only 3.
That's what I'm trying to say.
4th pairing's in the press box, my friend.
Pick up on that.
Uh-oh, what is this?
I made that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I made that in one of the Hawks one of the Hawks media outlets, the profile he's using as his profile picture now.
Hey,
did he ask for permission?
I basically said, if you want to use it, I don't give a crap. It's something. It's for fun for Chicago fans.
Okay, I got it. Just making sure you're getting your due.
He gave me credit for it. So
I want Phil Kessel to go to a Central team, so I can see him more than a team in the East or the Pacific or whatever. I want to see him go to the Central so we can continue to watch him, because even when he doesn't score, he's entertaining on the ice.
The thing with Phil Kessel, if he came to Chicago, I'm just wondering, what the hell number would he wear?
I don't know. That's a good question.
He can't wear 81. No, it's retired. He can't wear just a flip of it. It's retired for Dennis Savard.
666?
Let's give him 69. Why not?
No. 03. Give him 03.
I don't think that works because the 3's retired in Chicago.
03.
Just
for Oscar Mayer.
Yeah. Just put a hamburger on the back of his jersey. That's good enough.
Cheeseburger, a hot dog.
All right,
okay, guys, what a great show tonight, man. We're an hour and 20 in, and I'm going to call it a night. Lance, thanks for showing up, bud. You look good. You keep fighting this ring, my friend. We love you, and we're thinking about you all the time. Also, I do have one thing I need to say before we go away. I posted something on my Facebook last night, and I want to say it here. I found out yesterday that somebody that I know, a friend and a shipmate, somewhat, his son, who's 22 or 23, suffered a heart. Basically, on Friday, last Friday, his heart stopped, and it took him 9 minutes to revive him. He hasn't regained consciousness since. They're not sure how much brain damage he has or anything like that. I've known this kid for 14, 15 years. I've known him for a while. My heart goes out to the family. I've offered to go sit with the guy if he needs me. So, I'm that's why I didn't know if I was going to do a show tonight or not. But I want to put, with the family in my thoughts and my chants and that their son's going to pull through this. So if you can, just think for the family. And I don't want to put their name out because I don't have permission. But, it's just a family that I know. And I do hope that, that his son's able to pull through this.
Yeah, we do too.
All right. So, hey, guys, this is Guy the Hawaii Blues fan for Nick from Windy City Hockey and Lance from The Drop saying aloha mahalo. And we'll see you all in the next Blue Note Fan Report.